Welcome back to another episode of Make Money Count. Okay, touchy subject, immigration. What are we going to do? Are we getting the straight truth from the government about immigration, first of all? And is the immigration that we are getting helping our country right now? I want to show you some charts that have been put together by our most famous data scientist, contributor, economist, researcher, Axelan. And I want to encourage you to subscribe to his Substack because he does incredible work and he's an all-around great guy. I want to start off with something that he put together here. Non-permanent residents in Canada. Okay. So we have seen non-permanent residents in Canada continue to increase exponentially. We are now at over 2.5 million non-permanent residents in our country. Okay. We have heard that the government of Canada wants to decrease the number of non-permanent residents in our country to 5% of population. In order to get to 5%, we've got to get below 2 million NPRs, 2 million non-permanent residents. So have a look at this chart here. March 21st, 2024, there is a speech, and we're going to show you there's an article for that, but who cares? Take my word for it. There is a speech from the immigration minister stating that the government of Canada's goal is to reduce non-permanent residents. And at that time, we're at 6.2% of total population. All these numbers are arbitrary anyways, okay? There's too many people coming into our country. Do you know that, get this, Canada's taking in almost as many immigrants annually over the last couple years as the United States? The United States has 10 times the number of people, 10 times the population as us. We're taking in the same amount of people. Nobody knows what that will do to a country. But I can tell you it's not good for a country who is already strained on productivity because of infrastructure constraints. We know we do not have the infrastructure to support our existing population. And we've opened the floodgates to let more people in. Who knows? This is not a good game to play. I get it. For the Liberals, it's so smart because they're building their liberal brand and they're bringing in all these new immigrants, and the new immigrants will vote for the Liberal Party and it will help to cement the Liberal Party's future. But guess what? If you break the country in the meantime, the people that are here are going to start to get upset and you're going to have a hard time getting reelected. Okay, so what happens? March 21st, we hear a speech, which are always great coming from politicians, speeches, and we're at 6.2% non-permanent residents for the population. And what happens? Just a couple days ago, June 19th, we get a new reading. We're up to 6.8%. So now, instead of seeing 500,000 non-permanent residents depart the country, we need to see 700,000 non-permanent residents depart the country. This freight train is going to be difficult to slow down. I expect we're going to continue to see these NPR numbers climb before it gets better. And the strain that is putting on Canada and on Canadians will be felt for years to come, not just right now. So I'll show you something else, okay? Pull up population growth. So does this chart scare anybody else? Like, our absolute population growth record was set in Q1 of 2024 at 1,272,930 people. And guess what? It only exceeded the previous record by a very small margin. We got a lot of people coming into this country. We have and listen, like, my parents are immigrants to this country, right? Without immigrants, this country doesn't work. It doesn't function, right? We need new cultures. Canada's all about diversity. The problem is we are taking in so many people right now. Our country cannot handle it. It's like we got this tiny little Chevelle and we just keep loading it up with people. Eventually, the axes of the clown car will snap under the load. You want to see another one? Look where people are going. They're not going to Ontario anymore. They're leaving Ontario. People are leaving Ontario in favor, and this one clearly shows it, right? They're leaving Ontario and they're going to Alberta. Why? Well, there's no opportunity right now in Ontario. Well, the housing market is dead. The contribution of housing to GDP We still don't know how devastating that's going to be to the Canadian economy, but trust me, that's coming, and people are starting to realize it and they're moving away from it. Okay, the final one, and listen, this one's going to be divisive, right? This shows the number of refugee claims by Indian citizens. So asylum claimants who are Indian citizens who have come to Canada. So these are, and you're seeing a lot of this, right? International students that have come to Canada and they're trying to use any method possible, anything available to them to stay in our country. And I don't blame them. I mean, maybe if they knew a little bit better the way things were going, they would probably go back. But you have to understand, right? Like from what I have understood of this, there's a tremendous amount of pressure on these Indian students, right? They don't come from wealthy families. Their families back home are selling, every piece of real estate, everything they have in order to support these kids to come to Canada to find a better life. And you can't blame them for that. And then imagine they've spent it all. The kid has come to Canada and now Canada's saying, get out. They're going to do what they can to stay. Listen, there are all kinds of ways that they can try to claim asylum in Canada. The problem is this goal that our government has arbitrarily set of having NPRs at 5%, there's knock-on effects of it, right? People are going to want to stay here. That's going to keep this population high. Although they're going to migrate from province to province, our country still has to bear the load of all those people. And I don't know if there's ever been a time in the history of a G7 nation, especially one that's already constrained on the supply side for real estate and infrastructure. I don't know if there's ever been a time with such massive inflow of humans coming into that country, especially relative to the population, right? 1 million people coming into Canada is almost 3% of our population coming in, right? It's a massive growth number. Listen, again, divisive topic, but one that we have to consider, and its implications, not just on the real estate market, but on our economy as a whole, right? Like if we're not in a recession, we're going into a recession, but we're in a recession. And what does a country going into a recession look like when you keep adding more people into it? I don't know. Thanks for watching.